Welcome to the Quick Stop F1 podcast. My name is Nyasha and you could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. We appreciate that. Joining me today is everyone's favourite Quick Stop Nepo baby. It is my favourite beauty and lifestyle content creator, influencer, Mac Daddy, all them things there. Welcome to the show.
I like that.
Yeah, you like that? Tasha, welcome back to the show. How you doing?
Hi, everybody. Hi, Nyasha.
How's it going?
Thank you for having me. It's going.
Nice.
I mean, you know.
Yeah.
Brand new day. Can't complain.
Cannot complain. Cannot complain.
What about you? How is your day? Your Monday going?
My Monday's been spent in bed. I obviously we just had Quick Stop Live yesterday. Thank you so much to everyone. You know what? Round of applause for
so
me.
Lit. Oh, yes.
Thank you for the round of applause. It was great, man. We had a really cool event. Thank you to everyone who came out. Thank you to Everyman Cinema for hosting us and working with us and partnering us and believing in us. For us to have F1 on a big screen was like, I was sat in the cinema.
I was so jealous.
I can't believe this is happening. Like, I'm watching F1 in a cinema, like with all these like-minded people.
Yeah.
I'd also like to say, respectfully, we have the best-looking fan base in the world.
It's not even close.
And
it's not even close.
I was in that cinema. I was like, everyone is gorgeous. Like, this is crazy.
Good looking people, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So thank you so much to everyone that come out, and hopefully, we'll be doing another one soon. And if for Americans, we are looking into doing a live show in Austin after the race. So. We'd love to do something. So hopefully, I know a lot of you guys are like, oh, we can't see you. So hopefully, if you're in and around us, that SpongeBob meme, Will.
Yeah. Everybody's having fun with that.
But we will try and do a live stream for the next show. We couldn't do one for this one because just logistics, we just didn't want to have too much stuff on our hands going to a new venue. But next one there will be hopefully there will be a live stream for you guys to watch the podcast afterwards. But before we get into the week in F1, Tasha, I just want to say to everyone watching, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe. Give us a 5-star review on Spotify. Give us a review on Apple Podcasts. And if you want an ad-free stream, sign up to our Patreon. Link below. There is exclusive merch and content on there. Tash! Yes. I'll ask you the same thing that I asked Tandy last week, Darius. I've asked pretty much every guest that we have come on. How are you finding this season?
It's a little bit hard this season. I'm not gonna lie. Not that I find it boring. I don't want to just say boring, but I think just in general, I'm just finding it very hard to digest overall what's happening, what's going on. I just feel like between the regulations and kind of the lack of competition, I mean, yes, the midfield can be competitive, but I just feel like overall, all of the races so far just really haven't delivered. And I think with the extensive break in between, the 2 races at the beginning of the season, it just kind of felt like, oh man, we were waiting all year and this is this is it, It's kind of like when you have a craving for Thai food or something all day, you're waiting to get home from work. You order the Thai food, it gets there, some part of your order's missing, the person who cooked it didn't season it right, that pad Thai you wanted all day just does not hit how you thought. That's how I feel like this season has gotten. Ingredients are missing, it's a little cold, it took a while for y'all to deliver it in the first place, and now I'm just dissatisfied with my meal. So that's kind of how I feel so far about this season.
No, look.
1 star.
That 1 star review. cursing them out in the Google reviews.
Literally, I'm gonna need a discount on my next order. Like,
I need credit. I need credit in my Uber Eats account now. That is such a good metaphor. I think. I don't want to say the same things we've been saying over and over again, but the reason why I ask you that is because Stefano Domenichalli, you know what, I can't remember the last time Stefano Domenichalli opened his mouth and I was happy with what he said. Like every time he opens his mouth, I'm just like, oh, like doing like, oh, we're gonna do more sprint races. Oh, we're gonna change the qualifying format. Oh, we're not like what he's come out with. I think today in an article is to basically say that they won't be intervening during the season with what's going on. He insists it's not a foregone conclusion that Red Bull will win the championship, and he's ruled out making any changes aimed at making the season more competitive. I guess. He has said it would be impotent to say the championship is finished. We cannot intervene in the performance of the teams. I'm sure what we did in terms of the financial regulations will help to minimize the gap on the technical side. There's a couple of things with that. One, I would say, I guess I'll put to you, if you are in Formula One now, I guess, would you... No, we're only, was it 5 races into the season?
Yeah.
Was it 4 races?
It feels like it's been like such a long season, but it's only been 5 races.
Like it's crazy, right?
Dragging,
like it's hardly any races this season. So we can't, let's say I'm from a sport point of view, it would be mad for them to intervene in the middle of the season, right? After less than a quarter of the way through the season. If Red Bull have just made a better car,
right,
it's not on them to peg them back halfway through a season, right? But I guess being in America and being an F1 fan and being, I guess, the target market that they're looking at, amongst other things, do you think that if it carries on going like this, is Formula One going to lose, I guess, whatever new fans that they got on board for, through Drive to Survive or social media or whatever, do you think they will be losing fans with the way that the sport is kind of going, if it kind of goes as predictable as it is this season?
Yeah, I think so. I think this kind of feeds a little bit into, Miami GP, where everybody was like, man, the Americanness of it all, right? Like Americans love a show, which is true. Like we cannot deny that our sporting events are very showy and like pyrotechnics and loud. However, when that part of the show ends, the competition kicks in. We have very competitive sports. That's what everybody here enjoys about sports. It's not about the fireworks. It's not about what celebrities are there. It's the competitiveness of it all. So I think Formula One does have a problem in that regard, to which it seems like they're trying to copy the facade, I guess, or like what they see as American sports, but without like the actual cultural aspect of it, which is that we do appreciate competition. And I mean, we have dozens of leagues and we watch sports of all kinds. And, like, for example, golf is gaining in popularity currently. Like the PGA Tour is not changing how it functions to appeal to new fans. Right? Like they're basically like, this is how we've played golf for hundreds of years or however long golf has existed. And so if you want to be a part of the culture, like we'll bring you in on that culture, but they're not having mini golf tournaments in the middle of the PGA Masters. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not doing all of these things. So that's where I think like Stefano Domenichalli has like such a, like when I hear him talk, I feel like he's so disconnected from what people actually want versus what he thinks that we want. And that's what I think Formula One's biggest problem is that they have a lot of data in, fans tweeting and, social, they get feedback right away. And it just feels like they're like, we're not going to listen to that. And they just do whatever they want anyway. And then American fans get scapegoated and new fans get scapegoated as the reason why they're changing. But it's like,
I was going to ask about that, actually. I was going to ask you about that, like, and sorry to cut you off because you're making such good points there.
No, it's fine.
I'm not American, right? And
You aren't?
I'm not. No, unfortunately, I am British. Cups of tea,
And
breakfast, Sunday roast in it, bruv. Don't piss me off. All of that. Okay, I'm proud. Well, proudish, but do you feel like a lot of the commentary from people outside of America towards American fans is like loaded with, I don't want to obviously like negativity, but there's like an assumption that you guys are almost, your presence in the sport is tainting the sport, maybe because F1 is trying to grab that market, but it almost like it kind of puts all American fans as these new fans who don't know the sport, don't appreciate it, and they're the reason why the sport's going down the toilet now, where I don't think that's the truth at all.
I mean, so like I see it, I definitely can understand for fans who have been here for like a long time, seeing the sport change very rapidly. I mean, even just a few years I've been a fan, I'm like, damn, this is way different than like when I first tuned in. Like in a few years, you know, it just feels like they're very much just trying to change for the sake of changing. To a degree, it's like I get that they are trying to you know, keep it fresh, keep it interesting, but it's just like the decisions that they are making don't really seem to align with like the DNA, the core of like what their product is, which is to me what most people were interested in. Like when I first watched Drive to Survive, I was like, oh, this is interesting because I don't watch motorsports, right? So I don't have, we don't have kind of, I don't watch a sport that's like Formula One. You know, like I can tune into football, I tune into baseball, I tune into basketball, whatever. But Formula One is very different to what I normally watch. So in that sense, that's what appealed to me, that it's different. It's its own thing. And it's something new. So when you see the commentary of like all new fans are wanting this and Americans want that. And I'm sitting here like, I don't have a direct line to these people's office. Like, I want to see a shootout for quali instead of whatever normally happens. Like it definitely feels scapegoating. And then when you hear Stefano, and this is something I've noticed in a lot of his comments recently, is that he'll interject like, oh yeah, the new fans love it. The fans love it. Like, are the fans in the room with us? Who is he talking about? But it helps him. You
cannot trick me.
It takes so much responsibility off of people not liking these decisions. And I don't doubt that some people enjoy it, but even just a little sampling of my Twitter feed up, everybody hates what's happening. And it's like, they don't want to admit that they're wrong. Like there's just so much ego involved and you don't want to be like, look, this is not the right thing. And we can go at this a different way. They don't want to admit that they're wrong. So they're just doubling down. So now the 3 sprint races turns into 6 sprint races where like, who asked for that? Like nobody wants that.
The thing is with the sprint races and everything, I think everything, the problem is they ushered in, we had, I said this yesterday, we had the greatest season of all time, right? In 2021.
Whew, that was good.
And you know, whatever happened at the end, right? That season was the greatest season of all time. I personally, for our generation, some people may point to Prost and Senna in like 80, 89 and 90 or whatever. People might point to 2012 when Vettel won it in the last race in Brazil and there was 6 different people fighting for the championship or whatever. It was a good season. I think some people talk about a glory period of those Red Bull years, you know, kind of 2007 to 12, you know, Lewis winning the title on the last day in fucking Brazil. But I think personally, for race to race drama and drama outside of the cars as well, you know, you're hard pushed to beat 21. The problem is we had everyone kind of closed up in competition and then they fucking changed the regulations completely. They've got these new regulations in. They've got a cost cap, which means if you're far back, it's impossible to know how you're going to spend your money on updates to fix your car, and you don't know how far those updates are going to go. And look, we'll see.
Right.
the much lauded Imola upgrade package for Mercedes arrives, this weekend, and if that car is not fast in FP1, I don't even want to see what the timeline is saying. But it's
out,
almost like, I'm logging out, but it's almost as if like what we want is close racing. I was watching IndyCar the other day and I was like, this is awesome. Like, I'm really enjoying this. But there's not close racing from top to bottom. Yes, people might say there's more overtaking in the midfield, but no one cares about that. That's not what's going to sell seats. That's not what's going to make people want to tune in on TV. So until the racing gets closer, everything is just like plasters on top of wounds, which are very, very serious wounds. And I just don't think, for me, that it's a situation that, like you say, all of these new things that they're doing, and would be great if the racing was awesome as well. But if underneath that, it's all very surface level. And for me, I agree that it's not really going to take the sport that much further.
And I mean, I'm also just thinking, like, do you need that? Because again, going back to a lot of these sports now have started to copy like Drive to Survive. So you do have a golf version, you have a tennis version, you have IndyCar has theirs now, different like docuseries to get people invested in like the characters, the athletes. And no other sport, to my knowledge, is doing these type of, like shenanigans to attract more people. And I mean, maybe time will tell. Maybe in the next few years, maybe everybody will start having identity crisis. But it feels very much like Formula One is having a bit of an identity crisis, where it's like the core product that you give are these races on Sunday, and everything that you're doing, is taking away from that and diluting it to the point that Sunday's now not going to be interesting. And so it's like, for me, I look at things sometimes from like a marketing lens, and I'm like, you guys did great to get people interested, and it almost felt like it was too much too soon, and now you have no earthly idea or strategy of how to actually like retain those people and build actual community around what the core product actually is. Like, I'm watching Formula One because I want to watch Formula One. Like, if I wanted to watch sprint races or whatever, like I could find quirky sports. There's pickleball for tennis, like, but they're not playing pickleball at Wimbledon, in the middle of points. So it's like, everybody has their core DNA of what their sport is. And I feel like Formula One right now, they need to get back to that. Like, that's the focus, and everything else is like secondary. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Don't double down on it and be like, you didn't like sprint race this weekend? Well, here's 10 more. Like, you're just wasting time, wasting resources. Like, it's stupid.
For sure. I mean, look, I didn't even plan on talking about that, but I actually read something quite interesting. I was listening to a podcast. Let me see if I can shout them out. I was listening to a podcast the other day, which essentially was talking about what's the next phase for Formula One in terms of fan engagement, right? So all these sports are doing the the Drive to Survive style content, right? But what's the next phase after that? And I followed, let me 2 seconds because I will shout them out. I followed the Racing Forces podcast with Abby Ratchet, I think that's how it's pronounced. And they were, it was her and someone else who were having a conversation around, and Molly Oxner, thank you. And they were having a conversation around, fan engagement, like what's the next stage? And obviously, like, how Formula One make their money.
Right.
Obviously, they get these people, and they need people to come to the races. They need people to buy merch. They need people to engage. But it's like they're saying that there's diminishing returns now on Drive to Survive and this content process. And the thing is, the mad thing is, the easiest way to retain people is to make the racing closer. So to bring it back, I would say, do you expect them to do something at the end of this season? Let's say it carries on like this until the end of the season. Do you expect them to do to do something to peg everyone back?
I mean, if they do something, I'd be interesting to see what that would be. But again, just kind of like the general sentiment I get from Stefano is just that everything's great, nothing's on fire, everything's fine. It would really require him to remove that ego. And again, I don't know who else is making decisions for Formula One, but they all feel very out of touch. I mean, again, Miami again is another great example because it's like, where the fuck did will.i.am come from? Like, I mean, the people who have decided that. Are you living in 2008? He has not been culturally relevant here for almost a decade, right? So it's like, who decided that that's the rapper, that's the
that
celebrity?
Song is awful,
and it's awful.
Song.
Do you see what I mean? Like the disconnect of like what's actually popular here, who's popular here, what's actually happening in American culture right now, the pulse right now. will.i.am is not it, and that song was not it.
That song, honestly, it was like, do you ever watch BoJack Horseman? You ever seen
I have
BoJack
not.
Horseman?
I'm sorry.
Okay, no, that's fine. But there's like a bit where they go like back. He's like reminiscing on times in the past, and he's like, and it's like 2010, and it's like the music in the background is like, "Hi, I'm Lady Gaga. This is the electro disco," and that was literally like, how 2008 can I make a song right now? Even the video,
and they let him do it.
Even the video with the helmets, and they're like, okay, we're gonna get some
screen with the cars going past.
Yeah, okay, give me hip hop, guys, give me hip hop. It's like
the drop crotch pants, like damn.
Oh my god, like
all he was missing was the glasses with the shades,
the fucking swag glasses. Oh yes, the lines in him. Oh my god, I cannot believe it. How much did they pay that man? That is a money laundering operation.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? He literally, they're like, okay, will.i.am, please can you make us a really cool song for F1? Like, we're going to bring the masses in. And he went into his laptop and he typed in 2008 songs I will never release.
Black Eyed Peas from that
do you know what I mean? The shit that would have made the Black Eyed Peas album. Let me get that shit. Oh my god, it's so bad. And that is absolutely, do you know what was mad? Anyone who likes that song, I looked at them and I was like, you're precisely the person I would not want to converse with in this sport. Like why are you? And you know, don't ironically tweet about the song either. Don't give it any popularity or like don't talk about it.
Don't give it any oxygen. Yeah, let it die.
They're trolling me. Anyway,
that's the point. You know, that's what I'm saying. Like, you know. They're in 2008 and we're all in 2023. So that's, to me, like, lets me know, I'm like, okay, somebody's not doing their research because that should not be what they're offering up to Americans.
Yeah. Like, do you know what I mean? I just, anyway, look, we will, if I talk about that song anymore, I will lose my voice. Yeah, look, I can't do it. So, we will be back after these messages and we'll talk about some other F1 shit, which is pissing us off. Right. So, I believe that we have other things to talk about. On a scale of 1 to 10, how bad has Nyck De Vries been this season for you?
-2. I mean, man, I was expecting a lot more from him.
Yeah. And
I feel like underwhelming, I think underwhelming is the word, but it's like, man, how much did I really expect him to do, right? Because it is Formula One and there's like a learning curve. But at the same time, because of how old he is, because of how much experience he already has in other series, I thought that he would have a bit more like composure, poise, a bit more to bring to the team. I don't know. I just feel like he's been nowhere. Maybe in his head, maybe it's just all getting to him. I'm not sure, but it's just very interesting, the narrative before the season began, which was that, you know, he's going to come in and, you know, he'll be the lead driver and, you know, he's going to school Yuki and all this stuff. And like, you know, because people were going based off of the past, like,
yeah,
you know, he's been a winner in the past. And so, yeah, so now to see him basically not be anywhere, it is kind of like, what happened?
Yeah, it's crazy, right? Like, the thing is, I think when people, I was reading something the other day, I can't remember what it was, but people, I think maybe it was Mad from Pit Stop Facker, or someone else was saying, people just take his wins, but if you look at the context of those wins, they're like Fugazi. So his F2 win was with a really poor F2 class. I don't think it was his first season in F2 either. His FE win was when they had like a qualifying function or whatever, which didn't favor like the leader in the thing. I don't, whatever. FE, they love fucking around with the process. I don't even know what formats they have. So so they're like, his actual wins, like Stoffel Van Dorn was a faster driver than him in FE, and he's, you know, everyone kind of rated him more than Nyck De Vries. And then obviously Nyck De Vries, you know, the 10th place or whatever point score that he got in Monza last year, as we see with the Williams, very difficult to get past them on circuits where you need to get past them on a straight, because they're very, very quick in a straight line. Monza is literally 4 straights and a couple chicanes. So, sorry. So it's kind of showing up now. And Helmut Marko has confirmed that he's on a yellow card at the moment and named the 2 drivers that could potentially come and take his place, Liam Lawson and Iwasa. When these rumours broke last week, a lot of chat was that it could be Ricciardo. There was, you know, he was in Italy getting a seat fitting and all of that, but they've kind of debunked that. How does Daniel Ricciardo come back into this sport? Because if it's not in Alpha Tauri, I don't think it's going to be in Red Bull if Checo kind of keeps up this level of performance. Right. You know, there's been 4 1-2s this season. Like, Checo can't really do more than what he's done already, right? So how does he come back if he's not willing to step down, I guess?
I mean, I don't know. I recall him saying at some point, like, he only wanted to come back for like a top team. So I immediately sensed that Alpha Tauri is not really going to fulfill that dream for him. So would it really be I wouldn't accept that. I don't know what team would take him at this point, because it does kind of feel like at the moment most of the driver pairings are doing all right. I'm not sure, honestly, to be quite honest. But I do. It's like trying to do real complicated math, you know, trying to fit like a triangle into a square type of situation where it's like he's dug his own hole. I think he had opportunities last season to take seats on other teams and not take a season out. And he didn't take it. I don't see how Alpha Tauri makes sense. I mean, given even his experience, like, I don't see how he outdrives an Alpha Tauri, and I feel like that would be even worse for his career. The situation with McLaren, I feel like coming back to drive for Alpha Tauri and then basically not being able to also score any points, like, I don't know. I just don't see how it works. Yeah.
Man,
catastrophic. That would be it. So he really does have to hold out for a better team, to want to work with him than Alpha Tauri. And it also, I don't know, it just doesn't make sense either, just from the fact that Alpha Tauri is supposed to be like their, you know, their feeder team. Development. So it's like you're in your 30s. You don't need to be taking a seat from a young driver. Like, let them get experience. You worry about another team hopefully opening up a seat on a team that's not a feeder team, because you're never going to get the Red Bull seat either. Like, I just don't see that ever happening.
No, it's not happening. It's not going to happen. Like,
like, let it go.
You know, let it go. Do you know what I mean? He's like, you know, he's like, Daniel, you're like, and respect to anyone who does it, but you know, that the whole thing of like a 45-year-old living in their mum's basement still, like, just like doing like, move out. I mean, there's a whole world out there for you.
What's it called? Failure to launch? Yeah. He's got to go off on his own. Yeah.
Go out on your own. Go into the wild. Explore the world. Do you know what I mean? And look, apparently Toto Wolff is trying to convince, I did see this, James Vowles to drop Logan Sargeant for Mick Schumacher, according to Sport. I mean, for me, I don't think Logan Sargeant's done that bad. I think he's, I think there was... He was off the pace in Miami, and I think there was a crash in Baku, but up until that point, he'd actually done quite well. He was pushing Albon quite well. And again, he's doing better than Latifi was doing last season. I'm sure someone will have some stats that are like, no, go Tifi's man. I was like,
go Tifi.
Yeah. But I think he's been doing okay, right? So I don't see much. And also, like, I wouldn't be sad if Mick Schumacher didn't drive an F1 car again.
Oh, really?
I wouldn't give a fuck. Respectfully. I wouldn't care. I'm sorry. I'm just like, what is going on here? I don't care how handsome a man is. You cannot trick me. Okay? Yes. Gorgeous blue eyes. He's got some lovely bootcut jeans now.
Golden retriever energy, yeah.
Just lingering all over Mercedes. Just lingering. I don't understand. Like, honestly, there's nothing Mick Schumacher did in his F1 career which is compelling me to want to see him back in F1.
Ever again, yeah.
But I'm sure he will. The family name, that's cool. Respect to Michael. Michael was my hero growing up. I got into F1 watching Michael. I love Michael Schumacher. That doesn't have to extend to his kid, respectfully. So, we'll see. You've got to earn it. I think that's it. You've got to earn it. We'll see. Look, I'm sure at the end of this season, I'm looking at, the grid, and I don't really know, like, what is out there in terms of seats that might come up for Mick Schumacher. I mean, obviously, potentially Williams if Sargeant doesn't work out, but other than
Don't you think that would be like a little bit lateral though? Like, I mean, Logan and Mick, I don't really see them too far apart, I guess, like in terms of driving ability. So I feel like it would be lateral. So what would be the benefit of bringing Mick Schumacher onto the team just for the namesake, I guess, for maybe
namesake, and he loves just being in fucking pictures. He'll put a camera in his face and he'll be there.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
This is true. Logan does have the US market. I mean, but how strong is Logan Sargeant's US appeal? Like, I don't really feel like anyone's really taken to him.
He's not really made too much. I mean, he's not really made too much of a ripple here, I think, in terms of popularity, or even, I mean, they did a GQ profile on him, I think, for Miami. I mean, I think they're trying to raise his profile. But yeah, I wouldn't say that if he left Formula One right now that anybody would necessarily be like heartbroken about it. I mean, again, this is more like one of those things where it feels like you want an American just for the sake of having one, but is he the best representation for us? I don't think so. He's been doing fine, but it's like, America's not known for just doing fine in sports. You know what I'm saying? So that's, I guess, what I mean. It's like, if you're going to come, you got to bring it. And I feel like he's not necessarily doing the worst because you have Nyck De Vries under him. But when Nick's not there, like, then it's going to be a whole different conversation, because then the focus starts to shift. Okay, who's not comfortable? Who's not doing what they need to be doing? So it might be him, on the next round of, does he deserve to have an F1 seat? Depending on how he does. But yeah, and for Americans, at least for me, like, I'm not like, I don't care. I have no opinion on him. Yeah.
No, look, that is, I honestly, same. I mean, again, obviously, as the Cult LH podcast, I'll always bring things back to Lewis Hamilton because we're a massive cult, blah, 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 blah. But we saw Lewis Hamilton at the Lakers game the other day. You know, the commentators like he got the biggest cheer, you know, out of everyone. You got Starfield Arena there. You know, when they were at Miami, who were they choosing to use to push their product? Was it, you know, the double world champion Max Verstappen, or was it Logan Sargeant, who's like the hometown hero,
right?
Or was it Lewis Hamilton? It was Lewis Hamilton, right? Because he's got that appeal which broad appeal which goes outside of F1, and kind of like how we described, you know, F1 wanting Miami to kind of be like a Coachella style festival event, right? You know, who could they use to push that? It's Lewis Hamilton, and I think once Lewis goes, the sport is going to struggle with using
he did like
the drivers.
16 events in 2 days. Like nobody else was even anywhere. Like what did everybody else do? Like they just took the weekend off until the race. Like
Kim was right. No one wants to get up and work. Okay,
nobody wants to work anymore.
No one wants to work. Got to surround yourself with people that want to work. Like honestly, it was not good enough. Other than like the obligatory like play some basketball or throw like an American football,
throw a baseball,
yeah, like come on guys, we need more. And I guess speaking of Lewis, there was an interesting tweet that I wanted to discuss from Spanners on Missed Apex, pick up Spanners, who said that I'm just getting it up now. Sorry, why is my internet taking so long? Right, Spanners said that he was talking to an editor who has remained unnamed for the time being, and that essentially this editor basically said to him that he deliberately skews his headlines, and they post anti-Hamilton headlines because they focused in on a portion of people that just hate Lewis Hamilton. He's otherwise a perfectly normally nice guy, but he wants the money from clicks ads. Well, but essentially he just trawls German and Italian press for interviews and quotes, and then rehashes them into short articles like Hamilton ready to quit if demands not met, etc. Knocks them out in a few minutes. Now, this isn't surprising. I think seen much more egregious stuff written about Hamilton in mainstream British fucking sports. We talk about the angles that Sky Sports use,
right,
in their kind of marketing and analysis. And I think we had a question at the Quick Stop Live, like, you know, about George and how Sky Sports used George as a tool with which to beat Lewis with. So I guess, one, is any of this surprising for you, given that, yeah, I don't know, it's something that I've seen a lot, but I guess when you saw that, was that something that surprised you?
So I saw that tweet on my timeline as well, and I just stared at it for like an entire day, because I just thought that it was so representative of what we've been talking about, at least since 2020, for ages, but definitely since 2020, where we, you know, everybody was listening and learning, and everybody was going to do the reading, and like everybody wants to be an ally, right? And I just feel like then, and especially now, like nobody did the reading, nobody did the homework, because for you to engage in racism for profit, do you know what I mean? Like knowingly, not because you're a racist person, but because you know that will bring you profit. And then to tell another person, right? Because this is secondhand information. This is somebody's telling him this. Yeah. So it's like, then to be comfortable enough to share that, I would have you couldn't waterboard that information out of me. Like I would have gone down to my grave. You know what I'm saying? Like, to be so comfortable in the system, right? Because you know that nothing will come from it. Nothing, you'll never be punished for it. You're still anonymous, you know? So it's like a lot of protection goes into making sure that people feel comfortable being racist, even though he's still a good stand-up guy, apparently. You know, we got to make sure that his feelings aren't hurt by disclosing his identity and calling a spade is racist. Like, that's it. And so, yes, to use Lewis Hamilton for that, for profit, especially when you see how it affects him, and not just him, but his fans, because we see ourselves in him, you know, to engage in casual racism for profit is, or I don't even see casual, just blatant racism for profit is, that's different. Like, it's just a whole, that's different.
Tasha, it's crazy.
It's crazy.
I was the same. I kind of looked at it for like a long time, and I just kept kind of checking back in on it, and I was like, what are people saying to it now? And I was like, doesn't really seem to be that much. Like, everyone just kind of like, yeah, we know. Like, I think everyone's so desensitized to all of this, but like, it's fucked. like
we see it. Yeah. And it's, yeah.
I don't know what you want me to. I looked at that and I was like, this sport is so like you say, for someone to feel so comfortable with that. There's a scene in The Big Short where they're like, meet the mortgage advisors, and they're like, it's like, why are they confessing all of this to us? It's like, they're not confessing, they're bragging. And I was like, that's what it is. Like, this person feels comfortable enough to brag about being racist for profit, knowing that. And the thing is, this is what I will say. There's people who comment on this fucking page all the time, right? Mm-hmm. Who hate Lewis Hamilton and probably hate us. Don't even hate us because you love us enough to watch this every fucking week and comment. And thank you, because you are paying for high fans, right? They go around, they say like, you know, Cult LH ruining F1.
Right.
They say Lewis, they don't like Lewis. And I'll always, whenever people say they don't like Lewis, they'll never say because he's black, right? Like, they'll never say that. It's always like, I just don't know what it is about him. I can't
put my finger on it,
I can't quite put my finger on it. I don't like his politics, which is hilarious. You don't like civil rights. You don't like equality. You don't like fucking sustainability. You don't like his politics. Like, that's fucking animals. Crazy. You don't like animals. Like, they'll say that they don't like how much of, they don't like his celebrity styles. They just like someone. Yeah, he's a show.
Just shut up and drive.
Yeah, right. And it's just like, for me, for someone to, just a lack of self-awareness on everyone in this fucking sport to just not admit that you can dislike someone. I dislike Max. I dislike several people, right? And I will stand 10 toes down in that.
Right.
But for you to not acknowledge that the reasons why a lot of people don't like Hamilton, even if they don't say that it's because he's black, a lot of it is a byproduct of his race and the stereotypes around that, the biases around that, the way black people are perceived, the way Lewis as a black man is perceived in a sport like F1, which is predominantly white, and being the most successful driver of all time within this sport as a black man, right? Like, they, for me, I just find it like sickening that on a casual fucking Tuesday afternoon, someone can tweet that, and it's just like the by, like, oh yeah, we're always so desensitized to it. But I was gonna tweet something, but I didn't want to fucking quote tweet it because then that looks like it. So I was like, we'll bring it here, we'll have a discussion around it, because like, it's fucked. And I felt sick to my stomach reading that, because it's not just that editor that does it. Everyone does it. Everyone does it in some form or manner. All of the fucking Sky Sports punditry is based around this idea of trying to break Lewis down and appealing to the people who hate Lewis. Absolutely. And why do they hate Lewis? And
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly to not bring the royals into this, but that's exactly what's happening with Meghan Markle, right, in the British media, right? So it's like this whole machine. She's worth billions of dollars, essentially, just being the punching bag. She's the industry within an industry. You know, when she didn't go to the coronation last week, they thought, oh well, you know, we're not gonna have anything to focus on because they can't talk about what she's wearing. They can't talk about how her hair looks. They can't talk about, you know, out of context, the way she's talking to kids, you know, like it's, but it's the same thing. It's the same thing with Lewis, where it's like within F1, hating Lewis is an industry. And so many people are part of that because you see that it's lucrative. And then you see on top of that, you don't get called out on it. Because oh well, he's still a good guy, you know, he's just drumming up the dog whistles because it pays his bills and, you know, keeps food on his table, but he's still a good guy. And it's like, I thought we left that behind in 2020 when people were saying, I'm going to read my anti-racist material and I'm going to have a black square on Instagram, you know, like when we said it was performative back then, this is now the 3-year culmination of what performative anti-racism gets you, is that people are still not understanding the system that we live in is racist. And by not addressing those microaggressions and macroaggressions on any level and excusing it as like, oh, it's just my job, that's why we continue to have these conversations, and that's why this stuff continues to happen. And meanwhile, a real person is still affected by this, and the people who see themselves in that person are also affected by this. Because, like, to your point, I just stared at that tweet all day, right? Because it was just more like, wow, the audacity, right? The audacity to not only get on here and tell us this, but then to be like, oh, he's still a good guy. Like, that's we should be better than this at this point, you know?
We should be. But I think, you know, there's also, I'm just going to leave you because that was... like, I think I recently went on the relationship between race and this sport. It's really hard as a black person in the sport to talk about your experience as a black person in this sport.
Right.
And the more I talk about it, the more I know people are like, you're making it a thing, you're playing the race card, you're, you know, I think I was talking to someone yesterday, you know, and like, oh, you always respond to trolls. And I was like, you know, for a while, I kind of ignored it. But then after a while, I was like, I want people to see how often we get abuse on our page just for making content, right? Just for existing in this sport. I want you to see that. I'm not going to shy away from showing you that. And like, you know, we went on a fucking show the other day. I went on a show the other day. Streams of negative comments, like streams of it, because I'm a Hamilton fan, and because, you know, then there was the, you know, the odd racist comment in there, the kind of stereotypical things about like being loud and whatever. It's all so easy in this sport for people to, I think, overlook the effects of racism in the sport, and to not even to undermine it, but just to like not conceive how instilled in this whole sport it is, and how much it hurts for as fans to seeing that, as fans to see that, and as fans to kind of see the allyship not real. There, like, at all, right? Like, it's not there, like, and everyone's looking after their own self-interest, because if I'm going to be honest, if we're talking about, you know, if F1 content creators, it's all the fucking crabs in a fucking bucket shit. Everyone's kind of fighting tooth and nail to get to that fucking Sky Sports fucking F1 paddock pass shit, like, do you know what I mean? So, like, you know, would they really be super outspoken about the state of the sport and stuff like that? Or, you know, would you really blow up your editor friends? Like, I would be naming and fucking shaming, bro. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you guys, pardon? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you crazy?
Like, that nigga racist.
Yeah, hey, this publication racist as fuck. Like, they just told
telling
me.
Everybody, right? Like, come on now.
Come on. So yeah, I just find it incredible, but it just is an eye opener, right? It's an eye opener on.
It's very much an eye opener. It also very reminiscent, not to evoke MLK, but this is what he talked about when he talked about white moderates, and that's the homework assignment I'll give the audience, is to read the speech about that, because that's essentially what this is where, you know, we know what overt acts of racism are and how they hurt people, but it's that you can be in a conversation with somebody and they're comfortable enough to say something to you that's racist, and you don't push back on that because it's going to make your experience uncomfortable with them. You don't want to lose friends or lose family members. You're not willing to be uncomfortable or flip your life upside down, but that also is what helps keep racism and all of these marginalizations like going, is that you don't ever step in and be like, this isn't right. And people have too much ego. They don't want to be corrected. They don't want to educate themselves. So they'd rather just continue on being ignorant. But it's like, it is 2023. Like, we shouldn't have to keep having the baseline conversation about what racism isn't. It's a system. It's not just burning crosses. It's not just saying the N-word. It's how you interact with people on a day-to-day basis. What are your biases when you see a Black person? Is there something about them you just don't like that you can't put your finger on and you don't know where it comes from? That's called unconscious bias. So yes, there's a lot of stuff that people need to like learn and also unlearn about what we're dealing with. And so yes, when we're talking about F1, it's entertainment, it's a sport, but it again still affects people because it is rooted in reality. Like, we're really seeing Lewis Hamilton be abused in real time because of his race, and it's always masked as, oh, he's too show-offy, or oh, he's too famous, or whatever, because that makes it okay to say these things. But really all you're saying is he's too uppity.
Yeah,
he's not. He won't stay in his place, and you want to bring him down, but you can't.
Yeah,
and I mean, that's what we're dealing with. So,
and look, you know, if it isn't bad enough, then he goes and bags Shakira. So, like, do you know, some of your favorite drivers are still living off rumors of dating women half their age, right? But my driver's living that life. And you know what? She's actually age appropriate as well, which is even better.
And she's a woman of color, so let's be like, we won.
we won. Good luck to Lewis and Shakira. If it's true, we don't know. Might just be enjoying some time on a yacht together. Might just be having some food together. Who knows? Couple of friends. I'm not gonna lie though. She looked like she was having like a great time on that yacht. She looked comfortable.
Wouldn't you? I mean, listen, if Lewis invites me on a yacht.
Yeah,
I'll leave it there because I want Chris to
yeah. So Chris is about to edit that shit out. We're just gonna hear like, right. I think on that note. So, I guess quickly. We've got Imola coming up. Obviously, we're going to do the preview show later this week. But for you, what do you think would represent progress for Mercedes and the Imola upgrade package that they're bringing?
It just being drivable. Honestly, like not getting that heartbreaking radio message, like, you know, car shaking, or just drivability at this point, I think would be the most baseline bar for me at this point, especially because they are changing so much at one time. I'm not sure what those effects will be of everything changing at once, but I think drivability. I feel like that's a boring answer, but I feel like that's just, I'm not trying to overly hype this up. I I have no idea what to expect.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. I think, same. I think a car that is drivable, I think Mario said, like, good comments from Lewis that, you know, he's happy with it. George is happy with it. It'd be cool to be able to fight for third and fourth on the grid.
Fight the Astons.
Fight the Astons and see where we go from there. But I'm not gonna lie to you, my voice is on the way out. Like
it's on the road.
I said I wouldn't shout, and I started shouting, and it's just like, oh, you've got to go to bed. So I'm gonna skedaddle. But thank you as ever. Oh, you're such a wonderful guest, Tasha.
Thank you
here's
for
some
having
cheering
me
for
again.
you. No, pressure's all mine. Where can everyone find you on social media?
You can find me everywhere at the Glossier if you like beauty content and lifestyle content. And then if you just want to hear my F1 shit takes, you can find me at Tasha on Twitter. And that's it.
No, thank you. Make sure to check out some incredible content and F1 takes as well. Make sure if you've got this far, give us a like and a subscribe. If you're on Spotify, give us a 5-star review. Oh God, reviews on Apple Podcasts. Completely, I'm just like my brain. Oh my God! And obviously, if you want an ad-free stream, look us up on Patreon. I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm exhausted. I'm literally, my brain is done. I'm finished. So no matter what life throws at you guys, keep it on the black stuff. Thank you for everyone. Take care. Goodbye. I love
Bye.
you. Yeah, all of that.
Look, mate, if you've got this far, clearly you like what we do. So here's a link to subscribe to the Quicks Up F1 family. Give that a click. And here's another link to some more cool on our channel. Sorry, cool stuff. And remember, no matter what happens, keep it on the black stuff. Click the stuff. Click the links. Click the links. Click the links. There. They're there.